Hello, my name is Carson Thomas, and right now, as you're sitting watching this, thousands of invisible chemicals are flowing in your bloodstream. Chemicals you didn't even know exist, and your body, it has no way of getting rid of them. The purpose of this speech is to convince you that PFAs, or these so-called forever chemicals, represent one of the most dangerous environmental crises we're facing right now, and we need to demand action before it's genuinely too late. As an HVAC tech, I work with refrigerants, duct coatings, and sealants every day. Many of these materials actually have PFAs. That means I've been exposed to these toxic substances without even realizing it. Here's my main point. PFA contamination has silently poisoned every person on Earth. And while corporations are deliberately hiding the dangers for over 50 years, we still have time to fight back. Deregulation, transparency, and immediate action. Seriously, we need to change things today. I'm going to start by explaining what PFAs are and how they've gotten into everything. Then I'll expose how companies covered up their toxicity. And finally, I'll tell you what we need to do right now and how to protect ourselves and our future generations. So let's start with the basics. What exactly are these chemicals and why can't we just get rid of them? PFAs stand for per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. That's a mouthful, I know. What matters is this. They're a family of over 14,000 synthetic chemicals that have a carbon-fluorine bond, the strongest single bond that carbon can form. That means they don't break down, not in a year, not in a decade. Some of them will even last for centuries. Companies like DuPont and 3M figured out they could use these chemicals in pretty much everything. Non-stick pans, waterproof jackets, stain-resistant carpets, cosmetics, fast food wrappers, firefighting foam, almost anything you can think of. Basically, if it repels water or resists heat, here's where it gets scary. Back in 2000, researchers tested blood samples from Americans all across the country. Every single one of them, 100% of them, came back positive for PFAs. That means every person tested had these forever chemicals in their blood. Every single person. That means you have it too. But the shocking part isn't just that these chemicals are already spread everywhere. The shocking part is that companies making them knew how toxic they were and deliberately hid it from us. Corporations like DuPont concealed devastating health risks to protect their profits. In 1961, the same year Teflon pans started showing up in kitchens, DuPont scientists tested their processing chemical called C8 on lab rats. They found it caused abnormal liver growth at low doses, and at higher doses, it killed them. They compared it to cyanide on the toxicity level. Despite knowing this, DuPont dumped almost 10 tons of C8 into the Ohio River every single year. They piled up thousands of tons as toxic sludge leaked into the groundwater. There was this farmer named Earl Tennant who noticed his cows were dying. He had hired a lawyer named Bob Billett to investigate. What Billett discovered was insane. DuPont had been secretly monitoring their workers' blood since the 70s, and they'd actually found that the PFA levels were 1,000 times higher than normal people, and many of these workers were showing clear signs of liver disease, which is the same thing that was happening to the rats. In 1984, DuPont executives actually held a meeting to talk about switching to safer chemicals, but they looked at the cost and basically said, none of these options are really make us enough money. So they just kept using C8 because changing them would hurt their profits too much. It took a 7-year medical study of 70,000 people who'd been exposed before an independent science panel finally confirmed in 2013 that C8 directly causes thyroid disease, testicular cancer, kidney cancer, and other serious health problems. So yeah, the science proved PFAs were dangerous years ago, but the real question now is whether we're going to do something about it or just watch these chemicals keep poisoning every generation that comes after us. PFAs have been found on every continent now, including Antarctica. They're in polar bears, birds, fish, and 23 million Americans are drinking PFA-contaminated water right now. Most of them actually have no idea. You are drinking PFA-contaminated water. All the water is contaminated. So here's what you need to do. First, get informed. Test your water using water tests, or you can go to the Environmental Working Group's PFA contamination map. If your levels are high, get a reverse osmosis filter or an activated carbon filter that's certified to remove PFAs. Second, demand transparency. Contact your state representatives. Support legislation that requires companies to disclose PFAs in their products and that holds manufacturers responsible for cleaning up contamination. Third, if you work in a high-risk job like me, like firefighting, HVAC, manufacturing, consider donating blood regularly. Research shows this actually lowers your PFA levels by physically removing contaminated blood from your system. So this is like the first time in, I don't know, 50 years that they're going to be recommending you to do bloodletting to get rid of this contamination. And finally, avoid products with PFA. Switch from nonstick pans to cast iron. Avoid stain-resistant furniture. Skip waterproof cosmetics. And say no to fast food wrapped in that greasy paper. I set out today to convince you that PFAs represent an urgent crisis, and the evidence is clear. These forever chemicals are poisoning every single one of us right now. We've covered 3 things. 1. PFAs are indestructible chemicals found in 100% of human blood samples. 2. Corporations like DuPont deliberately hid evidence for decades that these chemicals cause cancer and other diseases. And 3. We need to take action right now through water testing, political pressure, blood donation, and smarter choices. As someone who's been unknowingly exposed to these chemicals just by doing my job, I can tell you this matters. But unless we demand change right now, unless we actually do something, our kids are going to inherit a world where toxic blood and poisoned water are just normal. And that's not a future any of us should accept. Thank you.